So yesterday, nearly 3,000 Switch 2 units were stolen out of a truck headed to Gamestop. Total loss is over $1.4 million. Now, of course, all these units are probably sold on the dark web because there's no way you could sell these units, realistically speaking, like on Facebook Marketplace or anything like that, because I'm sure the FBI and law enforcement are tracking this down and figuring out who stole the units and how they stole the units. But still, that's a lot of freaking money stolen of units. Like, that's insane. So, of course, it's GameStop too, with GameStop having the problem with stapling the receipt to the actual box, which destroyed a lot of Switches. Which I also learned after that video I made, that a lot of online orders also had a staple through the box and destroyed a lot of online orders as well. So this is not just offline orders like you pick up in the store. When they were shipping out online orders, they were stapling the receipt to the box. Just stupid stuff. So if you did have your Switch destroyed, your Switch 2 destroyed, well, you might have to wait a little longer because some of the units have been stolen. I hope and pray this doesn't keep happening because, man, this is just... It is what it is, you know? It is what it is. Let's not have this issue, please. You know, let's, the whole goal is that everyone can go ahead and get the Switch 2 and not have to worry about scalpers or other crap. Let's, as a society, come together and not have this situation happen. But there is a, what is this? 9 News who posted this video. So, it's almost to a point where it doesn't feel real, but it is, which is so sad. Yeah, and this is out of Denver. Speaking to 9 News, MSU Denver computer scientists, stolen goods will likely be sold through the black market means rather than through legitimate sites like Craigslist or eBay. Who uses Craigslist anymore? On a real note, I don't know anyone who uses Craigslist anymore. I feel like most people use either eBay, maybe they use Mercari, Facebook Marketplace. Craigslist, I feel like that was way back in the day, but still, though, just stupid stuff. As reported, the thieves took place on morning of June 8th at Love's truck stop in Colorado, while the driver wasn't inside the vehicle. So he left the vehicle probably to take a shower, go bathroom, get some food, and they stole it out of his truck. Which means they probably were most likely tracking the truck, I would guess. According to the county sheriff's office, a total of 2,810 Switch 2 consoles were stolen from the truck. So yeah, they probably were tracking the truck for some time, waited for their opportunity, and then stole the Switch 2 consoles. Which, yeah, that's... Speaking with authorities, the driver told deputies he wasn't aware of the inventory he was transporting and only aware of the theft. He returned to his truck to discover the cab trailer has been open. Okay, so this is actually another interesting thing, and this is not actually surprising. A lot of times, the truck drivers don't know what they're transporting. They kind of just go to the pickup spot, pick up the trailer, and leave. So a lot of times they don't even know what they're transporting, because if they did, they could obviously, there could be some bad actors out there that go ahead and, text someone and be like, hey, I have this amount of product or whatever. So, yeah, definitely not a good thing. But I don't know. How did they even figure out or find these guys that did this? Or I guess women. It could be women or men. How did they even find the thieves? I hope everything works out. It took him 2 minutes to find Switch 2s being sold at half price. Because they're stolen, I wouldn't expect them to head to... I would expect them to head to the dark web pretty quickly unless they're shipped out of the country. adding it took him 2 minutes to find Switch 2s being sold at half price in such places. It's worth noting, are branded with a unique serial number. Likewise, Nintendo can brick any Switch 2 console if it's found to be breaking the company's term of service, and that would be no doubt extended to the console proven to be stolen. So that's another interesting factor, actually. So according to this, Nintendo, because every Switch has a unique serial number, they could just brick them. What brick them means is that they will ban the console. So if you ever use a Switch 1 or I guess Switch 2 and let's say you pirate games, you use the MIG switch, let's say you cheat in any way, they could just ban your console. Like they could just ban, and it's not your account that gets banned, it's your console. So if you go ahead and you reset your console, you're still banned. You're not going to be able to get unbanned just because you reset your console. So they console ban you. Now, most big companies, Microsoft, PlayStation, whoever, a lot of times they ban your account, right? So you can't use that account ever again. It's not the case with Nintendo. Nintendo, usually they can, but they usually don't ban your account. They usually ban your console. So you have to buy a new console in order to continue to use the online services. And what that means is these Switches, let's say Nintendo goes out there and said, we're going to ban all these Switches that got stolen, then other than putting a game cartridge in the actual slot, or even then you can't, right? Because in order to use, with the Switch 2, the biggest thing is you need to have the update. You need to update the game or update, the software in order to be able to utilize the Switch 2, unlike the Switch 1. So I think maybe you can only play like the full game cartridges on the Switch 2 if the actual console was banned. So that makes these consoles, which was once worth $500 a piece, worth a lot less. Now, of course, the concept will be they're going to try to sell it to people not knowing that these consoles were stolen or banned, showing that they are, sealed, well, as much as possible. With the Switch 2, there's no, actual, plastic seal or, tape. It's there. You could open up the Switch 2, the box, do whatever you want, and close it. There's no factory seal on the Switch 2. So, yeah. So, they're going to probably try to sell it as if it wasn't tampered with or wasn't stolen or wasn't broken, and then try to get away with it. But that's crazy. That's absolutely crazy, to be honest. But tell me down below your thoughts, opinions. See you guys next one. Peace out.